Hello, my friends, and welcome to episode 48 of the Kiss Army Nation podcast. We are your hosts. I'm Pasquale Veri.
And I am Claudius Pera. Welcome to the show, everyone. In previous episodes of the Kiss Army Nation podcast, we were honored to have interviewed Phil Shouse and Ryan Spencer Cook. So it is now with great excitement that we round out the Talisman Trilogy with our next guest, Jeremy. So born and raised outside of Nashville, Jeremy is a founding member of the Rock and Roll Residency, the Big Rock Show, and the Talismen. He has also been part of John Corabi's band and a standing member of Gene Simmons and Frehleys band. In this episode, we will discuss the unique talents of our dear friend, Jeremy Asbrock. So welcome to the show, Jeremy.
Hi, thanks a lot, guys. Thanks for having me. Thank you very much. It's fun to listen to everybody condense everything that I've done into like a sentence. It's like, wow, that's a lot of stuff.
That's a lot. That's exactly.
And I think it just touches the surface as well.
That's right.
So, whether you're a musician or not, a writer, a promoter, in this podcast, we recognize first and foremost that we all have the same thing in common. We're all Kiss fans. So like we do in all of our episodes, Jeremy, we'd like to know first, how did you become a Kiss fan?
You sent me the questions before and I got to read over them. And this is actually my favorite one. And I haven't done this on anybody else's podcast. So
nice.
This is something that you guys get. And it's going to be kind of a three-parter, but I've got all the stuff right here. So when I was about 4 years old, I was 4 in 1979. So Kiss was the biggest band in America still. Even though they were declining a little, they were still massive. And I have an older brother, and he's 6 years older than me. So all of these kids would have been like 10. And, if I'd tag along, I'd see Kiss posters on all their walls. So, the imagery is there. And one day, one of the kids comes to my backyard, and he has a Live 2, the records only. Hey, I'll sell you these for 50 cents a piece. So I went and asked my mom, and she gave me 50 cents. You can buy one of them. And my brother said, get that one. It has Shout It Out Loud.
Wow.
Oh, wow, man.
Record.
Look at that.
And it's signed by everybody. And I finally got Paul's signature on it on this past Kiss cruise. It took until I was 42 years to get Paul's signature. Everybody else, Ace and Gene were obviously a little bit easier. I got Peter's signature in 2019 because before the cruise, Ace was doing a pre-party in one hotel and Peter was doing a pre-party in another hotel. Mm-hmm. So we just kind of arranged it through our channels and I finally got that one. All right, part 2. My very first concert was Kiss. I didn't know bands toured. I didn't know what that was because I was only 7. I saw New York City on the inside of all of Kiss's records, so I thought you had to go to New York to see Kiss. And then one day, my mom says, "Hey, we have tickets to go see Kiss in concert," and I just didn't understand. But it was the Creatures of the Night tour.
Ooh!
Oh wow!
Love it.
Oh,
January 30th.
History there.
Look at that.
1983. Night Ranger opened. It was Super Bowl Sunday here, and there's a lot I remember about the show, but also a lot I don't remember because I was just in shock that it was happening. And, I probably had some sort of nervous breakdown because I just couldn't believe I was seeing Kiss. That was actually Paul and Gene in front of me. I couldn't believe it. And so this is the first time I met Kiss. When Kiss came to Nashville on the Crazy Nights tour, my brother was away at college. So one of his friends that didn't go to college took me to see the show. And they were having an in-store, which the record store was on the way to the venue. So, my brother's friend stopped so we could go. And I was 12. So I was kind of small and I could worm my way through the entire line. So this was I got Eric Carr's signature, which is obviously a very cool thing to have.
That's amazing.
And once again, didn't get Paul's signature that day. I don't know why, but security pushed me out before I could get to Paul because Paul was at the end of the line. And then in 2014, on that cruise, a trusted member of their camp helped me get it. They told me before, like, bring that record, because I told them my story, and they're like, bring that record on the cruise with you. And I'm like, okay. And I did, and I didn't say anything about it. And they were like, hey, did you bring that record? Like, yeah, I brought it. Like, give it to me. And I got it back a little while later. And it was signed. I don't know why Paul's so tough for me, but
He is tough.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter now. Those are the only two things I needed signed by him. Like my two records are complete. So
Got it.
that's it. We're done, Paul. Thank you.
Now, obviously, you've had some really memorable moments with Kiss. But how did you get connected to the music of Kiss?
Man, it was when I took that record in my house and I dropped the needle on Shout It Out Loud. And I mean,
Okay.
on Alive too. It's like the crowd is as loud as a crowd can get. And they start the song and just the energy, and then the bombs go off, and I don't know, man. And I was a really young kid too, so I didn't know anything about what was cool and wasn't cool. So, and we didn't have videos or anything, and like I said, I didn't have a record, I didn't have an album cover to look at. He just sold me the record, so it was all about the music because I had to listen to the record. I didn't have any posters. I was too young for the magazines at that point. Like, yeah, it was only about the music. So just because I'd seen it, in my brother's friends' rooms, it wasn't there with me in my room when I was listening to it. So music first.
So Jeremy, now that we're talking about music, so when did you start playing guitar?
Well, got my first guitar when I was 7.
Okay.
But man, the moment I heard that music that day, it wasn't just discovering Kiss or rock and roll or anything, man. Like, that moment changed everything. I was a guitar player, and I didn't even know that you could be a guitar player when you grew up.
That's right.
I just knew I wanted that. Whatever that is, I want in on that.
That's awesome. That's awesome. We love the story. It's actually, for everybody who's watching the video, those pieces of your collection, man, those are priceless, with the signature of all four with Eric Carr. So, Jeremy, let me ask you something. So like most Kiss fans, Kiss might have given you the opportunity to meet people you couldn't have met, otherwise. So let me go back in time. So how did you meet Ryan and Phil, Ryan Cook and Phil Shouse?
I should probably start with Phil because I met him first. So I played in a band called the Shazam for about 15 years. It was kind of a 60s British type thing. The Beatles, The Who, The Move.
That's in Nashville?
Yeah, we were a Nashville band, but we were having a lot of success in England.
Oh,
so there were British magazines writing about us, and Phil was into Oasis and that British scene, and it was around the same time frame, and he read about us, and Phil loves the Beatles and all of that kind of stuff too. So we were playing a show in Nashville, and he came to the show. Here's where the Kiss tie-in is. So this is in 2001, and you couldn't just get a Kiss shirt online or that easily anyway, or at Walmart or wherever. I don't know what your average shop is where you guys are, but just going to the local department store and there being Kiss shirts, it wasn't that easy. And there's this guy in the front row at my show with a Kiss Love Gun shirt on. It's like, who's this guy? I'm going to talk to that guy after the show. And that just kind of started our friendship. And then a couple of years later, I hooked him up with a friend of mine in his band, and he moved here. And we actually didn't play together until after being friends for 10 years. We just hung out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then when we started playing together, it was just to have fun. We were just starting tribute bands together, and can't remember what the first one was, but we had one for everybody, Kiss included. And let's see.
And Ryan,
and Ryan, yeah. So I kind of started playing with Ryan before I started playing with Phil. So I was living with Phil at the time, and Ryan had Big Rock Show, and I'd never seen them, but I knew about them. They just kind of played around town every now and then, and they were like an '80s metal jukebox.
Mm-hmm.
And the offer came along to do the Kiss cruise for them, but the guitar player that they had couldn't do the cruise. So there was an American Idol contestant named Bo Bice that Philip had played with. He referred Philip to Ryan.
Oh.
Philip played with a touring country artist at the time, and honestly, Philip wasn't much of an '80s metal guy. I don't know if he would have done it anyway. They needed a guitar player to do the cruise, and Phil couldn't do it. And he can. So Ryan, I got home from work one day, and Ryan was in my living room, and he sized me up. He started at my face, and he looked me down, and he looked me back up. And I went to my room, and I was like, that guy. And then, we all hung out all night and had drinks and had a good time. And then later he asked, he's like, so would you be interested in doing the Kiss cruise? And, I basically met my new family that night because, Ryan is more than a friend, him and Phil both.
It feels like it, man.
They're my family,
Yeah, when we see you guys together, you can tell, man, that this is family. So basically, when you guys started playing together, that was in the Kiss cruise. That's when it was.
When Phil and Ryan and I started playing together as three, I have to backtrack a little. So when Phil and I formed the Rock and Roll Residency, it was very guest heavy, and we were just kind of the band, and we would sing some too. But Ryan was one of our guests, one of our main guests. Okay. And when we started that, man, it was really just about having fun. We had no plan for it to be anything. And when we started getting offers to play out of town, to play cruises or, events and stuff, we added Ryan to that. So we would have an extra singer and guitar player. And just, I don't know, we stopped doing that show because it was a weekly show and it just got too hard to do. And I don't know, it just sort of morphed into the Talisman, to just the three of us. And
okay.
So that means like the three of us, like as the Talisman and just the three of us, nobody else included. We've been, a unit since 2017, 5 years.
Okay.
So that means that we were friends before that. Like there was so much friend hang time that had nothing to do with music that predated playing together, that the reason everybody sees what they see with us and it's genuine is because we were just dudes that like hanging out together before that, right. And then we got to go on this adventure together versus guys that get put in a band together and then they become friends.
Right. Yeah. It doesn't feel like work, it's like, it's a true.
It's a very friendship. Unique situation because, man, like even the guys that get put together in bands after the fact, like Alice Cooper's band or whoever, it's just a little different when these guys and we're all kind of bonded by Kiss. I talked to Phil because he had that Kiss shirt on, and I went on the Kiss cruise with Ryan, and we were both, Kiss is both a favorite band. So it's a very unique situation.
Indeed.
So, Jeremy, your family of Philip and Ryan, you got to realize your ultimate dream as a musician to work with your idols. So for you, yes, absolutely. And for you, how was it? How'd you get the opportunity to work with Gene Simmons?
Man, that's pretty much all on Ryan. There was one year that Big Rock Show did not go on the Kiss cruise, and Ryan still went on it. And through channels, Gene had gotten his number and so there weren't really a lot of solo shows on the horizon. I mean, it was these events that we have here called Comic-Cons or Wizard World. They're just basically big autograph sessions, and they had invited him to do 5 of those and wanted to tie in a solo show in those cities. So it just kind of started with that. So he knew Ryan through Doc McGee, I mean, he didn't even really know Ryan that well. Ryan just had a really good reputation with them because Ryan was friends with Doc and just had a good reputation. We had done 5 Kiss cruises at that point. So, the stage is right in front of their cabin. So, Gene and Paul heard us play a lot and knew, Ryan was a good front man and had a good band behind him. And so, I mean, Gene asked him and I was obviously a shoe-in.
Of course.
Yeah. And Phil, and, the original plan was for Gene to just sing and we were going to pass around the bass. That was kind of how, it became 3 of us instead of him just having to pick one of us. So luckily, good sense prevailed. Ryan talked Gene into playing bass and, it didn't really cost any extra to have that extra guy. So we just rolled with 3 guitar players. And then Gene fell in love with that concept. Like he thought it was very symphonic to have 3 guys playing the same riff and, obviously helped a lot vocally, which is kind of what I think we bring to Ace too is, we do very well in the vocal department.
Yeah. You know what you're doing.
Cool to have that there. And also like that extra guitar, look, man, like I hang out. I've hung out in some of these Kiss forums and chat rooms and message boards and stuff before I played with any of these guys. So, I'm, at the end of the day, I'm just a nobody Kiss fan like everybody else. And, some people don't get into the 3 guitar thing. I think they just kind of used to the format that Kiss presents it in, with 2 guitars. And, but, it just kind of allows us the opportunity to do stuff, like on the records, if you have a dual lead guitar, like the Detroit Rock City solo,
exactly.
You don't have to lose the rhythm guitar.
Right.
Or in Ace Frehley's case, he is so loud that you need a guy on each side. So I can hear, you need stereo guitar. He's loud.
It sounds great, man. It sounds great.
And what was your personal experience working with Gene?
The greatest time of my life. Gene's the man. He is so cool. Self-deprecating, generous. He'll bust your balls, but man, he could take it back. First time I had to take a shot back, I was a little scared, but all he did was win.
I can see Gene doing that.
It's great, man. And he's just was very open to play something different every night. Sometimes it was his idea. It was great to get an email in the morning. Hey guys, can we do All the Way tonight? It's like, hell yeah, we can do All the Way tonight.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, Gene is, he's obviously very noticeable. Like his celebrity is really high. So to travel around with him and just kind of see it through that lens, pretty wild.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah. Hey, Jeremy, no question, you're a very, skilled musician, and that basically allowed you to participate in some truly unique projects. So we would like to hear your perspective on some of those projects, like, for instance, the Christmas Masquerade 2020. So how was that? So we heard that it was a great experience. So how did you go with that?
It was. So, that was really kind of at the height of COVID, and people were still tiptoeing into shows and, massive protocol and social distancing and stuff. So, that was a very tight ship that ran there. And as far as I know, nobody got sick. That's one huge thing that I remember about it. Another thing is, I played guitar unexpectedly with Enough's Enough that night. And, Enough's Enough was the band that got me into the Beatles when I was 14, which changed the course of my life. So, that was pretty cool to do. And, there was another question you guys had later. I'm going to go ahead and tie this in because it fits with the Christmas Masquerade, and it had to do with Kiss fans and some experiences that I remember with fans. So, I had a son that was born. Let's see, three three months before that Christmas Masquerade.
Okay.
And we were doing an interview, all of us that were artists at the thing, with Eddie Trunk, and they stopped the interview, and apparently, like, all the fans, all the people that had come to the thing had bought gifts, Christmas gifts for my children.
No, man. Wow.
And man, it was a lot of stuff.
Wow.
And you know, I'm starting to get a little choked up just talking about it, because
I love it, man. Love it.
Just so nice and generous and thoughtful, and man, you know, like at this point now, we've traveled to a lot of places with Ace and Gene, and met a lot of people, and man, they're just so generous.
Mm-hmm.
And especially towards my family. Like, you know, my kids are as famous as I am to these people, and like when we travel, they give me gifts for my children, and man, it's so cool.
So cool. So cool. Well, you know, you're you know, you guys, especially, you know, when we had the interview with Phil and Ryan, and now with you, we are so grateful to have you here. You're so lovable, man. So you guys, you know, you feel like you're one of us. You know, you're up there on the stage, you know, playing with Gene, playing with Ace, you know, rock stars. But you know, it feels like you're one of us, and that's why, you know, you get everything that you deserve, because, you know,
well, thank you.
It's
it
not
feels
easy.
that way because I am. I mean, like we are. I mean, hell, we didn't start playing with guys and Kiss until, you know, we were all in our 40s. And
Right.
man, you know, when me and Ryan were in our little cover band playing on the first Kiss cruise, we thought, holy, we're playing on the Kiss cruise, like we made it.
Well, now that you mentioned the Kiss cruise, what about that? So how was that experience, you guys? How did you feel when you were playing?
Just
you know,
well,
you know, the whole experience with the Big Rock Show and
man, you know, there was, look, they've all been fantastic in their own way. Because at this point now, I've been on the Kiss cruise with like what three different projects.
Right. Exactly.
The early days with Big Rock Show, it was just, you know, those early cruises were really special because everybody was getting to know each other, and like you're meeting all these people from other countries, and I don't know, it's kind of like camp. And then like by the fourth year, like you're like actually friends, you know, like you talk to each other, and then like you get thrown in the opportunity like we did to get to like travel Europe with Gene, and then see some of these people, or Japan, and you see some of these people like at the shows instead of like on the ship playing with Big Rock Show. It was
unbelievable.
It was like graduating college.
True. Oh man.
But past cruise was just a little bit different, just because of COVID. Everybody still had a good time. It was just, I don't know, it was a little different, and you know, that was to be expected. I mean, it didn't damper the fun. It just kind of made it a little different, you know.
Yeah. And in the last one, you were playing as the Talisman, right? So
yes,
the three of you guys. Yeah.
Which is funny because that's like less a musical act and more of a hang with the three of us having acoustic guitars. I mean, you know, we might not even finish a full song.
Mm-hmm.
So, Jeremy, we talked a little bit about Gene. Now we're going to switch over to Ace. We know that you're a big Ace fan, right?
Yes, I mean that's why I play guitar.
Yeah, and so how did it feel actually playing with Ace, your idol?
At this point now, it feels kind of normal. Early on, I was just kind of in shock. It was even less shocking than Gene, because Gene's a little more personable, and I don't know, he's hang, and I don't know, he's just kind of a little more of a people person, and Ace is a little more quiet, you know, and I don't see him as much, or didn't then. So I don't know, there's a lot of mystery about Ace, so it was just so shocking. I mean, it was very shocking for both of them. I mean, hell, even now, man, like, even I played with Ace Frehley.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's wild, man.
Right.
How did you get involved working with Ace Frehley?
Honestly, it was pretty much Gene. So we had this tour booked of Australia that was originally supposed to take place in February of 2018. And for whatever reason, it was postponed. And in that time, it was worked out for Ace to open for Gene on those dates. So we're like, wow, holy cool. That's very cool. And then Ace asked if he could use us. He asked Gene if he could use us because it just wasn't financially feasible for him to bring his own band over, because with us being there, we already had hotel rooms taken care of.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we were all taken care of, and he would have had to cover that. And it just, so I don't know, Gene gave it his blessing. And so we were the band for Ace and Gene on a tour, which is, I mean, man, how monumental is that? I mean, God,
this is unbelievable.
Even if you just saw that show, that was just a rare occasion. So getting to be in the band was ridiculous. And one thing everybody should check out is on YouTube is the sound check from Brisbane. And
Okay.
Ace and Gene came out during sound check, and we jammed The Who, The Stones, Zeppelin, Kiss rarities. It's very cool.
Wow.
And only the people that were vault buyers got to come to that sound check. But that's a lot of it's on YouTube, and I highly recommend that if you're like just want to see Ace and Gene hanging out at sound check with us, backing them up on anything they're ready to do, you know?
Wow.
So it was on that trip that so Ace was going on the Kiss cruise that fall, and Gene told me in Sydney, he pulled me into his dressing room. He's like, Ace is going to ask you to do the cruise. It's like, okay, well, how do you feel about that? He's like, live and let live.
Okay.
All right. So, and it's funny, the last night, I don't even know if I should be saying this, but I will. The last night of the tour. Oh, and we were scheduled to go to Japan with Ace from Australia.
Mm-hmm.
So that had kind of happened already, but Gene told Ace, it's like, Ace, you need to fire your band and hire my band.
Really? That's so Gene.
It you know, it wasn't just that. Ace didn't do that because of Gene. There were a lot of people and factors surrounding him that involved that. And you know, like I do remember that second show in Melbourne when we hit the backup vocals for 2000 Man, that he looked around at all of us and was like, threw us one of those.
There you go. You got it.
And he always poked his tongue out just a little bit. He's like,
Lovely.
Now, Claudio before mentioned some of your unique projects, like the Christmas Masquerade. You also got to play Ace's entire solo album at the New Jersey Kiss Expo. What was that like?
Well, most people don't know this. So aside from it being awesome to play Ace's solo album in its entirety for the first time, you know, that's obviously an amazing thing. What's more amazing is that it actually happened. So I have type 1 diabetes, and I was, you know, I'm sure you guys have heard about American healthcare and the insurance system and what a complete nightmare it is. Well, for 3 months, I was in between health insurance, so I wasn't covered. And this was one of those times. So, you know, I wasn't really able to afford the good insulin that, you know, really keeps you healthy. And I was having a lot of trouble with my blood sugars on that. And we were sound checking, and there's a thing called diabetic ketoacidosis. And that's when your blood sugar gets too high, your body starts trying to reject the sugar, and it'll do it any way possible, which includes, you know, vomiting.
Okay.
And we're at sound check, and I laid down on the stage. I started throwing up, and basically had to be carried to my room. And so you start throwing up like every every 5 minutes.
Wow.
And so somebody ran and got fresh insulin for me, and I was out of test strips too, so I didn't even know how high my blood sugar was. It turns out I was at like an upper 400s. And the thing about diabetic ketoacidosis is you're supposed to go to the hospital because acid gets into your bloodstream and it'll shut down your organs, and then that'll just basically give you hours to live. Well, I didn't really know that that's what was happening. I thought I was having like food poisoning or something. So I was able to get some anti-nausea medicine that they prescribe for cancer patients to make that subside. And man, I pulled it together just enough to do the show. And man, I can watch it now, and I can't tell that I was that sick. It was one of those things that kind of takes over, and there's no way I was gonna let that show get canceled because of me. Absolutely out of the question. I will die before that happens. And honestly, guys, I kind of almost did.
Almost did, exactly.
And I just can't believe it. Like I sang Ozone, and like the registers up here, it's like right at my peak, and I'm doing high kicks and all this stuff, man. And yeah, man, I put it in a file cabinet and pulled it back out after the show was over, and it's amazing that it happened. And when I watch it, I can't even tell that, like, wow, what I was going through 2.5 hours before that, man. Like there's just no way.
Yeah, it was a miracle, man. Yeah.
I'm not only happy that it happened, like honestly, it went down pretty good. When I watch it and listen to it, we rehearsed for 2 days for that, and by the end, I'm like, wow, this is going to be awesome.
And were you feeling okay after the show? Were you feeling okay? So
it was slow. I was recovery.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other unique moments you'd like to share about that particular expo?
Man, that's kind of all I remember about that one.
No wonder.
That was a pretty big deal.
Because you guys played on the plus, Friday night.
I can't. Like we've done a lot of those expos now, and they all involve the same cast of characters, so a lot of them start running together.
Right.
Let's see. I remember there was a jam at that one the night before, and some of the Angel guys were in it. Jean Bevois, Vinny Appice played drums.
Oh,
and they were supposed to play Tush by ZZ Top, and Ace started LaGrange by ZZ Top, and everybody just kind of shrugged. So there's saying words to Tush over, which is also on YouTube. Because Ace started LaGrange with a it's like, what's he?
What is he playing? Okay, let's go.
Go with it.
You go with the flow.
Hey, Jeremy, let me touch on the Talisman, because I think that's a very unique and special, project that we love. Kiss fans, we really love what you guys are doing. I know that when we talked to Ryan and Phil, they were telling us that. At the beginning it was for private shows, once in a while here and there. So, but given the success that you guys are having, so where do you see the Talisman going in the future? Do you have any plans for that?
Well, our plans are under heavy discussion, and that's all I am at liberty to say right now.
There you go. Okay. Noted.
So, like Phil and Ryan and Claudio touched on this before, and so have you. You're very approachable to the fans. We talked about this already, and that's what makes the Talisman and everybody in the Talisman so special. For 2 questions. First, what are your thoughts about Kiss fans in general?
Well, I am one of them, so my thoughts is we're all pretty cool, aren't we?
Yes, we
Absolutely,
are.
absolutely, man. No wonder. Yeah.
We have good taste. That's my thoughts.
Now, I might get in trouble for this one, but when we interviewed Ryan, we had Rala Brown as a guest host because she absolutely wanted to interview him. And during the interview, she talked about some of her experiences with Ryan as a Kiss fan. Do you have a Rala Brown in your travels? Have you met a fan in your travels that really stands out?
Well, I've met lots of them. In fact, I mean, I've got a long list. It was kind of what I mentioned before with the cruise, how you do a few of those and you go from, like this fan artist relationship to just kind of friends, So, I got, it'd be a little unfair to name check some of them, but, I got Johan in Sweden. I got my buddy Philip in Florida.
Okay.
I got, oh man, I can't do that. There's so many everywhere. That's been the amazing thing about being able to do so many cruises and travel so much with Gene and Ace is, getting to meet people and form relationships and stuff.
Yeah. And I'm gonna go a little bit off script there, but I have some information when you guys went to Bolivia. I think that you guys met a lot of in South America. It was huge. They were waiting for you guys at the airport.
Man,
that was unbelievable.
One of the most unforgettable experiences in my life. I mean, that one specifically because, first of all, that Gene was the first member of KISS to ever go there. So, that's what I meant earlier about seeing it through that lens. And I was even thinking about that moment, like we get off the plane, it's like 4:30 in the morning and we walk through this door and there's like 300 people there. And I've never seen anything like that. And, and they're all seeing a member of KISS for the first time ever. Mm-hmm. So the weight of that experience for me and for them was huge. And then, the altitude's very high and the airport's at the top. So, we go down all these hills to our airport and then, a quarter of these people are at the hotel waiting for us. And like, how'd you beat us here?
Yeah.
and then there's, like meeting people like, we went to breakfast somewhere, me and Ryan and Phil and Brent Fitz. He went with us too. Cause he was running with us a lot then too. He already had a lot of fans in cities because of Slash and would kind of break off and do his own thing, but he had never been there either. So we were kind of running together and we met these two girls at breakfast and they're like, hey, well, you guys want to like check out Bolivia and La Paz? And like, yeah. So they drove us around and we went to a movie with Gene there. We went to see Blade Runner, which was interesting. Going to a movie with Gene,
That's so lovely, man. Oh, man,
that was one of the big ones, Bolivia.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to ask you because I know that you guys, you were freaking out. It's amazing, what you guys went through there. So it's
well, man, when unique. 300 people are waiting for you at the airport, let alone two or three, it's just pretty a very big wow moment.
Yeah. Hey, Jeremy, the resume of you guys, the Talisman Trio, is kind of similar. You guys are all involved in many different projects at the same time. So what are some of your current projects that you're working on?
Man, honestly, we've all kind of scaled back. Right now it's just all about Ace and, there may or may not be some Talisman stuff going down. So, the Talisman and Ace are about all we have going on. Phil has Accept too, but honestly, a lot of their stuff has gotten canceled too. So, because they're mainly a overseas act, they don't really tour a lot here. So, so basically, creatively and musically, it's kind of only been about those things.
So what's coming up with Ace? When are you guys?
We start on March 3rd. So yeah, we have about 3 weeks left, and then we kind of start doing every other weekend for a while. So it's going to be a little consistent for a bit.
Okay.
So I'm gonna see a bit of the Spaceman soon.
Nice, good stuff. Hey, one question on music that you touched on that before, but you have accomplished so much as a musician. Is there anything that you have not accomplished yet and you would like to be involved in?
Again.
You can't disclose. All right, for the next interview.
You know, man. I'd love to play Paul McCartney just one time. It doesn't even have to be a show. It could be in a room. I just want to play along with that guy once.
Okay, well, that's a good one. I have to say.
So, Jeremy, before we close the show, and I can't believe this interview is almost over already. It went so quickly. We began the episode discussing you as a Kiss fan, and we want to end the show asking Jeremy, the Kiss fan, a question. What would you like to say to Kiss fans out there?
Well, that despite the fact that I get to play in the solo bands of two original members of Kiss, I am still just a dorky Kiss fan like everybody else. Man, if I weren't in the band, I'd be buying tickets to Ace shows or Gene shows. If I weren't playing the cruise, I don't know if I could afford it, but I'd find a way.
Yeah.
And man, it's just so cool to meet fans wherever we travel. It means the world. I'll speak for the other guys here. It means the world to us that everybody thinks highly of us or thinks anything of us. You know, we're just so grateful to have been given the opportunity, not once but twice, and you know, the weight of that is not lost on us, and we just want to do right by the good ship Kiss, man. Like, I'd be in that crowd if I weren't on stage, so I know I want to see or hear.
Right. Yeah.
So you know, we all try to give that, and I just look forward to seeing everybody as we get to go further out. I really hope we get further out than just the States, you know, fingers crossed.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And for me personally, anybody that ever does any generous act for my kids, man, it's just, it really, really,
yeah,
really
that is
life.
really something. Yeah? That is really
they
something.
do, man. They do. I mean, every time I travel, I always come back with something for them, particularly when we go overseas. You know, they're very generous there. It's probably because we don't get to travel there very often.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, man, we appreciate all of that stuff.
That's great. So, you know, Jeremy, again, we can't thank you enough, you know, to make yourself available in your busy schedule to be with us here in the show.
Yeah, thanks, guys. I love talking to all of you. Any Kiss podcast, man, like I'm always down to yak.
It's lovely, man. It's lovely. Once again, you know, you're so lovable, you know, and we Kiss fans basically we're living the fantasy through you guys. So because each one of us would love to be in your feet, you know, there standing next to Gene or Ace, but at the same time, you know, it feels so close. You know, it feels like it's one of us. So once again,
I really appreciate that. No, thank you. I mean, seriously, thank you guys very much.
No, Jeremy, you know, one thing about this podcast, you know, it's not about us. It's about our guests. It's about you. We want to promote what you do. It's our way of thanking you for giving us Kiss fans so much, you know. In terms of, you know, musically, what Kiss gives us, it's very limited. There's so much more, the deep cuts that we want. And you and your band really provide what Kiss can't or Kiss doesn't, you know. We ask for it, you give it to us without any hesitation, and you guys do it so well.
Thank you.
You really, as a Kiss fan, it's amazing to know people like you, as friends, who's up on stage with our idols as well, you know. And you're coming on to our podcast to talk about your experiences. It's just amazing to me. So,
well, thanks for having me, guys.
It's an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much.
Yeah, man, no problem.
And just to wrap up, once again, to our audience, for anyone listening, please like and subscribe, to our YouTube channel, or follow us on Spotify, Podomatic, or Amazon Music, and the other many platforms which feature our show. So share with your friends, with your colleagues, with whoever loves music, and please support our guests and their projects, because they're doing it, with passion. That's what they're doing.
Of course. And to the KISS Army, thank you so much for listening. We hope you enjoyed this episode, and remember, never stop rocking. Take care, everyone. The KISS Army Nation podcast has partnered up with Click T-Shop to offer our listeners a high-quality t-shirt with graphic design by Xander Graphics. Check out Click T-Shop at clickteeshop.com.